have my notes. There's quite a lot of them. So let's get talking about genetics. I'll pop these down there. And welcome to another little chat between me and thee about a subject matter that I think a lot of you wanted to know about. You've been asking about it. I do look through comment sections, so I pay attention to what it is you want me to witter on about in my own fun little way. And today we're going to take a look at genetics and how they affect the way you end up looking. So let's start off with the big major question. Do genetics matter? The simple answer is yes. Yes, of course they do. Of course, if you think genetics are not a factor in the way you look and the way you potentially can look, if you don't think they play a role in that in a huge way, you're living in a delusional little wonderland. Our genetics determine our eye colour, hair colour, the way our hair is, whether it's curly or straight, how tall we're going to be. But it also plays a big factor in our natural musculature, the natural amount of lean mass that we hold, the natural level of fat that we hold. Some of us are skinny, some of us are chunky, some of us are slim. It's a huge determining factor in our foundational stasis, I guess is the way you can think about it. Just the way we would be if we didn't train excessively and didn't have an excessive diet either way in terms of massive undereating, massive overeating for gain. It's just a good set diet plus standard good activity levels that a human body is designed to do. If you just left it like that, we would all still look very, very different. Some of us would still have more muscle than others. Some of us would have slim waists, thick waists, broad shoulders, slim shoulders. You get where I'm going with this. All this is determined, excluding like environmental factors, by our genetics. So some of these things we cannot change. Things like hair, the way your hair sits, whether it's curly or straight, your eye colour, how tall you're going to be. These are things that we can't really manipulate. But some of the genetic factors that are going to be predetermined, we can help stimulate in other directions, or we can help even emphasize those beneficial genetics. And that's where the diet and training comes into play. That's where we can begin to take control of our body and lead it in a certain way by putting it in an environment that creates stimulus for the body to grow in a certain direction. Make sense? So let's take a look at a breakdown of the major things that you guys seem to be concerned with. Muscle mass. Yes, now obviously you know you've got those friends that when you were like 10, 11, 12 year olds were already starting to show signs of more musculature in kind of like legs or chest or abs or somewhere before your other friends did or before you did. Maybe you were lucky and you were one of those people. Now they do have a genetic potential to have, say, a leaner body mass just day to day. They might not have to train as hard to achieve that. So genetically they are gifted in that sense. Does it mean that you can't achieve that? No, it just means that you might have to work harder to stimulate your body to be in that kind of same level of lean mass to body fat ratio compared to the person who's more genetically gifted to hold leaner mass. We can see this difference between race to race. We know that black people have essentially a better lean mass than the standard kind of Caucasian European guy. Compared to an Indian or compared to Chinese. We all have different benefits, different drawbacks. So, although, I mean, you can see it on the sports field, you know, NFL. Okay, let's not go down that rabbit hole any further. So, to say that there's no difference would just be retarded. So, the point I'm making is that we can see a difference in the ability of the muscle and the way the muscle develops and can be trained and built, even just from race to race, person to person. It's out there, we know about it. The thing is, we can't really worry about it, is what I want to say. You have to accept where you are in that spectrum and then work to that ability. So yes, muscle mass from person to person is going to be different, but the same rules are going to apply to be able to increase muscle mass on the body from person to person. Some people are just going to be able to transition more quickly into a higher level of lean body mass than others. Do genetics play a role in the ability to get big, to put on muscle? Yes, more in terms of timeline, I would say, than anything else. Essentially, we all have the same capability to put on mass, but some people are just going to put it on faster than others. So what you don't need to worry about is other people. You need to just understand that your body will work in its own time frame as long as you apply the same rules. Yes, your friends may get there quicker than you. Yes, that guy in the gym may look better than you, faster than you, or you may look better than them, faster than they do, and they get frustrated with you. That can't be helped. Tough shit. Tough shit. Get over it. focus on you. The things that we cannot change from you to your friends to the race to the person that is unified is things like muscle insertion. That is very much a genetic thing. If you look at my arm and my bicep, you can see that it peaks pretty well, but there is a high insertion when peaked. The long head is fine when it's untensed. Tensed, it disappears. I've got a high peak with a gap here. Some people have an insertion that's much closer to the elbow joint and don't get this similar kind of gap that I get here. That's fine with me. I'm not really bothered about that. What I'm focused on is making this piece of meat here in front of me look better year to year. That's my focus. What somebody else's arm looks like might be great to look at, but it doesn't really affect me personally. I mean, I can look at how they train, take ideas from what they do and implement them to me, but I'm not going to expect my arm to suddenly look like theirs because I do the same training as them. My arm is still going to be my arm. I'm still going to have this high insertion here. It's still going to look this way, but I can improve on the density, the depth and the detail. You still have to make sure that you're focusing on you and how your body makeup is set for the future and the present. Fat levels. Again, this is going to be a massively predetermined factor for your body. Some people are naturally slim, naturally more vascular. You can maybe have always been able to see their abs and that's just how they've been. They haven't really monitored their diet, but they're usually people who are not excessive in either way either, and that's just their natural lean frame. Other people naturally hold a little bit more puppy fat, a little bit more of a higher body fat percentage, but they might be broader or bigger naturally. They might be able to put on size easier. This is when we're looking at different body types, so we have the difference between the endomorph, the ectomorph, and the mesomorph. Now, predominantly we all kind of focus more towards one of those body types, but as a rule, we're all a little bit of a merge of two of those body types. So don't also get stuck in thinking that you are just one. You know, you often cross over into a couple of different barriers, but you will have a leading design to your body genetically. So I myself would class myself as a mesomorph, but I'm a little bit ectomorphic in the fact that if I don't eat a lot regularly, I do strip weight quickly. So you have to take these things into effect. So being a mesomorph with that kind of ectomorph tendency, I'm going to be slower to grow, but as I do grow, naturally I'm probably going to look a lot tighter and leaner than somebody who puts on mass more quickly but holds more body fat, which would make them more kind of mesomorph, endomorph. And this is something to take into account when you're looking at other people and looking at other people for inspiration, is to understand how their body works. So I myself can stay lean pretty much all year round. I'm not talking like super shredded, I'm just mean lean, like you can always see my abs, whereas other people, the moment they come off that deficit diet, soften off very quickly. That's not something to be worried about at all. And over time, the more you delve into fitness and the fitter you become and the better your training becomes because your body gets better at it, you will be able to hold a leaner physique for longer periods of time through the years. So if you are just starting out, what you don't want to be doing is comparing yourself to people who've been lifting for 5-10 years, because obviously they've got that time ahead. You will get there, you just have to keep putting in the time. It's time plus consistency that gives us the results. And it's the people who dip in and out of fitness and training that never really sustain that great physique, because they're never really getting the body to dig in and hold a certain shape and then develop that muscle to give it that age, to give it then that dense look, and to also encourage the body to hold a leaner mass over time. If they're constantly dipping in and out, letting the body fluctuate up and down. That's why now more and more you see pro athletes staying a lot leaner off season, whereas before in every sport people kind of put on a lot of weight. You used to see that a lot in boxing, you definitely see it in bodybuilding, but now you look at people, they're in shape year round much more commonly because it's much healthier and it encourages the body to stay fitter and look better for longer. So what can we take from this? What you have to understand is that it's great to look towards other people for inspiration and to look towards other people for training and diet advice, but you should always remember that it's to be focused on you and your body and how it works. So yes, you can get your diet plans done for you, you can have your training done for you so that you know you're all on the right track, but then don't compare yourself to somebody else who doesn't have the same genetic makeup as you and expect to be on exactly the same timeline, because I promise you now, you're gonna get let down. I mean, there could be a possibility that you get ahead of them. Fantastic, you're gonna feel great. But for those normal people who are usually looking to somebody who is kind of elite and then comparing themselves to them, I feel that you're putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. If you know your diet's correct and you know your training's correct, just get your head down and work, and I promise you, putting that time, putting the consistency, and the results will come. You just have to have realistic timelines and a realistic expectation and focus on how your body's going to grow and how you work and how you react to to the training and the diet. Now I'm going to have to read this little bit from here because I wrote it down, it's really good, but I don't want to mess it up and fluff it up and not have you get the wisdomness, because I am quite wisdomy. Some of the things we can encourage to change through stimulus and diet, but we have to accept that we have a certain genetic makeup and there are certain things that we cannot change about ourselves. These are not limitations, simply the fact that we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. So yes, somebody else may be great at something that you're not, but I promise you, you're probably better at something else that they're not. So it's all balanced at the end of the day, and it is a matter of focusing on our strengths and our weaknesses, and understanding your body and working with it to its shape and to its abilities will always get you the best results. Mindset. This is the major thing I kind of want to get through the camera, through the lens, through your computer screen, and into that brain. Don't go chasing bullshit. And what do I mean by that? I mean, don't look at somebody who has something like an extreme V-taper because they have a very narrow waist. If you are somebody that does not naturally have a 28-inch waist and you're a little bit thicker around here, it is going to be absolutely redundant you putting all your focus, all your hopes and your dreams into creating this tiny waist and broad shoulders, because you can get so focused on something you're going to be unable to actually achieve that you're going to neglect all those strengths that you actually do have. Because once you get down to a certain body fat level where you can see all your abs and you've got a lot of detail going on and you've got down to your best, if your waist isn't that 28-inch waist that you've so searched for the last 12 months of dieting, that doesn't mean you failed. It just means that that's not your shape, and that's absolutely fine. We are all different, and the work and the effort that you put into the rest of your physique and creating such a good result, that's all other people are going to see. Another one I want to get across and into the brain. By becoming obsessed with something that others have that they haven't created through training or diet or exercise because it was just naturally the way they are, if you focus on that, you will lose perspective and focus on the great things that you do have. Sometimes shit isn't going to be achievable, but it's fine. Why is this such a problem? I think this is honestly one of the major reasons that we are seeing such an uptake of young people focusing on, asking about, and even using steroids, drugs, and other crazy things like SYNTHOL, because we have created a new genre in the fitness industry with the social media rise of people seeing a never-ending parade of perfect bodies with all these crazy shapes. We've had issues with people photoshopping things. People were looking at a physique that even that person didn't own, which in my opinion is absolutely disgusting. Anybody who did it should have a pineapple firmly lodged up the rectum, should have a banana rammed up the bum. All this nonsense of like 10-week, 12-week diets. People begin to get a warped view on realistic timelines. I keep going back to it because it's so very important. If you understand that it takes 12 months to make some major changes to your physique, you're going to be much more inclined to get your head down and work and be positive about the progression that you make. If you set yourself 12 weeks to go from looking like average Joe to Johnny Bravo, it just ain't gonna happen. And if that's the case, you're gonna become depressed, you're gonna start looking for extremes to achieve a goal that you want because you think that you're failing in other ways when you're really not. You're just not allowing yourself the right time to do it or getting the right information together to achieve it. Then we started seeing the rise of crazy things like SYNTHOL use in young guys. Most of the time, these guys who we saw in the past who used the things were a little bit I'm going to put the oil into the bigger biceps. But now because of social media, people talk about these things, people are actually given more information about them. Whether it be negative, it's still giving people information to then give them the idea to go and look up these crazy things. There will always be that small percentage of people that see something and then jump on it in an attempt to get to their obsession by any means necessary. And I think the more information that we can give and the more that we can be realistic, the safer we will be and the better we will be as a community to help one another and to be realistic and understand what we're seeing. I've done videos about this before, about myself, how there's Insta-Lex, and then there's normal Lex. So this is me normally, day to day. You know, this is not me pumped up. I'm not gonna have those veins coming across my chest with striations popping all through my shoulders when I'm not pumped up and the blood isn't swelling the muscles to push it tight against the skin. But people, when they see that in a picture, they think that's how you are all day, and then they get this warped view, and that's what we need to kind of break through. You need to understand that when we're in the gym and we're pumped and we've eaten well, slept well, and we look great, that is how we look in that moment of time. But to understand that that's not how you can look all the time is going to be a much healthier attitude to have mentally, and it will help you grow physically because you're not going to be feeling let down by what you see in the mirror when you wake up in the morning. So what can we achieve from this little chat that we've had today? I hope the main thing you can take from this, come on, running out of caffeine. The main thing I want you to take away is to understand to not focus on the extreme, to focus on yourself, understand what you're looking at, and play to your strengths. Focus on improving your weaknesses and set yourself realistic timelines and understand your body and how it works to get the best from it. We are all individuals, we are all different, and that is absolutely fine. If we weren't, it would be a very, very boring world in which to live. I hope it's given you a little bit of a reprieve and maybe helped you understand this a little bit more, and you now feel a little bit better about what maybe you were feeling a little bit down about before. We all have these same thoughts, we all have the same ambitions to look the best we can, and if your diet is on track, your training is on track, you put in the time, put in the consistency, I promise you, we will all get there. Leave a comment in the comment below with anything else you'd like me to cover in these kind of one-to-one videos. I like doing them, you seem to like watching them, which is great for me. So comment below, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the ding-a-ling-a-ling for notifications, subscribe with the big red button. I'm Lex, and I'll catch you in the next one. Lex, out.